The automotive world has been buzzing ever since Mat Armstrong dropped a subtle hint about his next big project. For most viewers, it looked like just another tease. But for those who have followed his journey closely, it meant something much bigger. This was not just about another rebuild. This was about something unfinished, something that had been left behind years ago. The internet reacted quickly, and people started connecting the dots. There was only one car that could create this level of excitement from just a small hint, a Pagani. Not just any Pagani, but the one he once tried to buy and rebuild. A car that slipped through his hands at the last moment. Back then, it felt like a missed opportunity. Today, it feels like a story waiting to be completed. The idea of Mat returning to that same dream now hits differently, because he is not the same builder he was back then. His skills, his resources, and his confidence have all grown. What once seemed impossible now feels within reach. And that is exactly why people are paying attention again. This is no longer just a what-if story. It is starting to feel like something that could actually happen. The excitement is not just about the car itself, but about what it represents. A second chance, a bigger challenge, and possibly the most ambitious rebuild ever seen on YouTube. That is why even the smallest hint from Mat has turned into a major talking point. People are not just watching anymore. They are waiting. A few years ago, Mat Armstrong set his sights on a very special car. It was a crashed Pagani, and not just any model. Reports suggested it had a connection to Lewis Hamilton, one of the most famous drivers in the world. That alone made the car incredibly unique. The car had been damaged badly, but for someone like Mat, that is where the story begins. He has built his entire career on taking broken cars and bringing them back to life. This Pagani would have been his biggest challenge yet. For a moment, it looked like everything might come together. The deal seemed close. Fans were excited. The idea of watching a rare hypercar being rebuilt outside of a factory setting was something new and thrilling. But then everything changed. The deal fell apart. No one knows exactly why. Maybe the price went too high. Maybe the seller changed their mind. Maybe someone else stepped in and bought it first. Whatever the reason, the result was the same. Mat lost the opportunity. The Pagani was gone. At the time, it felt like a huge disappointment, not just for him, but also for his audience. It was the kind of project that could have changed everything for his channel. A Pagani rebuild, especially one linked to a global icon like Lewis Hamilton, would have been one of the biggest automotive stories on YouTube. But it did not happen. And over time, people moved on. New builds came, new videos were uploaded, and the moment slowly faded away. But even then, it never truly disappeared. It stayed in the background like a story that was never finished. Things are very different now. Since that missed opportunity, Mat Armstrong has taken on projects that many people thought were impossible. The biggest example of this is his rebuild of a Bugatti Hypercar, specifically the Chiron. At the time, Bugatti made it clear that such a car could not be rebuilt outside their official factory. They claimed it required special tools, trained engineers, and systems that independent builders simply do not have. For most people, that would have been the end of the discussion. But Mat decided to prove them wrong. Step by step, he worked through the rebuild. He sourced parts, solved complex engineering problems, and relied on skilled specialists to handle areas that require extreme precision. It was not easy, and it took a lot of time and effort. But in the end, he did it. He brought the car back to life. That single project changed everything. It proved that he could work at a level that was once considered out of reach. It also changed how people see him. He is no longer just a YouTuber fixing cars. He is now someone who can take on the most complex machines in the automotive world and succeed. This matters because it changes the way people think about the Pagani idea. Before, it felt like a dream. Now, it feels like a real possibility. When Mat hints at a Pagani today, people take it seriously. They know what he is capable of. They have seen it with their own eyes. To understand why a Pagani rebuild is such a big deal, you need to understand what makes Pagani cars so special. Unlike many other manufacturers, Pagani focuses on extreme craftsmanship and attention to detail. Every car is built almost like a piece of art. Models like the Pagani Huayra and the Pagani Zonda are not just machines. They are carefully designed creations where every part is made with precision. The materials used are advanced, especially carbon fiber, which is shaped and layered in ways that require expert knowledge and skill. Even the smallest details, like switches and interior components, are custom-made. This means there are no simple replacement parts. If something breaks, you cannot just order a new one easily. You often have to recreate it from scratch. That is what makes rebuilding a Pagani so difficult. It is not just about fixing damage. It is about understanding and recreating something that was originally built by highly skilled craftsmen. Even getting access to parts can be nearly impossible because a company produces cars in very limited numbers. This creates a situation where every step of the rebuild becomes a challenge. And that is exactly what makes it so interesting. A project like this is not just about skill. It is about patience, creativity, and problem solving at the highest level. Another factor that makes this story even more powerful is a connection to Lewis Hamilton. As one of the most successful drivers in Formula One history, his name carries huge weight. A car linked to him is not just valuable. It becomes part of a larger story. It adds emotion and history to the project. People are not just watching a car being rebuilt. They are watching a piece of motorsport history being brought back to life. This creates a deeper level of interest. It makes viewers feel more connected to the project. They want to see how it started, what went wrong, and how it gets fixed. It turns a rebuild into something bigger than just mechanical work. It becomes a journey. That is why missing out on that Pagani years ago felt like such a big loss. It was not just about the car. It was about the story that could have been told. And now, with Matt's recent hint, it feels like that story might not be over yet. It might just be waiting for the right moment to begin again. Today, Mat Armstrong is in a much stronger position than he was before. His channel has grown massively, with millions of subscribers watching his content regularly. This gives him more resources, more connections, and more opportunities. He is no longer chasing projects in the same way. Instead, projects are starting to come to him. This changes everything. If a crashed Pagani becomes available, he now has the ability to actually secure it. He has the reputation, the audience, and the support needed to take on such a challenge. This is a major shift from the past. Before, the Pagani project felt like a lucky opportunity that might or might not happen. Now, it feels like something that could be planned and executed properly. Of course, finding the right car is still not easy. Pagani cars are rare, and accidents involving them are even rarer. But they do happen, and when they do, they create a unique opportunity. The key is being ready when that moment comes. And right now, Matt seems more ready than ever. One interesting moment that added fuel to the discussion was a simple meme. A student joke about ignoring his assignments just to watch Mat Armstrong rebuild a Pagani from a dust particle. It was clearly meant to be funny, but when Matt shared it, people started thinking deeper. Why highlight that specific joke? Why bring Pagani back into the conversation now? It might be nothing, or it might be a subtle hint. Matt is known for dropping small clues before big announcements. His audience understands this pattern. That is why even something as simple as a meme can create so much discussion. It shows how invested people are in his content. They are not just watching casually. They are paying attention to every detail. And a Pagani build would take that engagement to another level. It is the kind of project that people would follow from start to finish, watching every step, every challenge, and every success. However, there is an important question to consider. Does starting a Pagani project right now actually make sense? Matt is already working on several complex builds. Each one requires time, focus, and effort. Adding another major project could create pressure. A Pagani is not something you can rush. It requires full attention. Even a small mistake could cause serious problems, especially when dealing with advanced materials like carbon fiber. This creates a real risk. Taking on too much at once could slow everything down. On the other hand, there is also an argument for moving forward quickly. The momentum from his recent success is strong. His audience is excited. The timing feels right. In content creation, momentum is very important. Waiting too long can sometimes reduce interest. So, the decision is not simple. It depends on timing, opportunity, and strategy. In the end, everything comes down to one key factor: opportunity. The right car needs to appear at the right time. Without that, nothing else matters. But if it does happen, everything could change very quickly. A Pagani rebuild would be the biggest challenge Mat Armstrong has ever faced. It would test his skills, his patience, and his ability to solve problems. But based on what he has already achieved, there is no reason to doubt him. He has proven himself before. He has taken on challenges that others avoided and succeeded. That is what makes this story so exciting. It is not just about what might happen. It is about what could be possible if Mat Armstrong decides to take on a Pagani. It will not just be another build. It will be a defining moment in his career. It will show how far he has come and what he is truly capable of. And if it happens, one thing is certain: people will be watching, not just casually, but with full attention, because this is more than just a rebuild. It is a continuation of a story that started years ago, and this time, it might finally reach its ending. The technical challenges of Pagani rebuild are almost unmatched in the automotive world. Unlike many other hypercars, Pagani vehicles are not built on standardized platforms or with interchangeable parts. Every element is handcrafted, from the carbon fiber monocoque to the smallest interior detail. The chassis alone is a marvel of engineering, with layers of carbon fiber precisely laid to provide both strength and extreme lightness. Any mistake in cutting, laminating, or shaping a panel could be catastrophic, potentially compromising the integrity of the entire vehicle. Furthermore, the interior of Pagani is not just functional. It is a work of art. Leather, stitching, exposed carbon fiber, and custom switches are all fitted by hand, with no room for error. If a part is damaged, there is no straightforward replacement, unlike more common hypercars where aftermarket or OEM parts may be sourced relatively easily. This level of exclusivity and craftsmanship means that the process is painstaking, time-consuming, and requires the highest level of skill. For a builder like Mat Armstrong, who has already demonstrated his capability with Bugatti, the challenge is still immense. Each step of the rebuild is a high-stakes puzzle, requiring meticulous planning, precise execution, and reliance on a network of specialists who can match the craftsmanship of the original manufacturer. While his past experiences give him an advantage, a Pagani rebuild is still a project that could take years, demanding patience, focus, and resources at every turn. Another factor that intensifies the stakes is the sheer rarity of these vehicles. Pagani produces only a handful of cars each year, and their client are often collectors who value privacy and exclusivity above all else. This scarcity makes finding a suitable car for a rebuild extremely difficult. While crash cars do occasionally appear, they are rare, and when they do, the price is often astronomical. Even if Mat can identify a potential candidate, negotiating access, verifying ownership, and securing the vehicle without interference requires strategic planning and connections within the high-end automotive world. Furthermore, cars associated with celebrities, such as Lewis Hamilton, carry additional complications. Ownership history adds both financial value and emotional significance, meaning any attempt at acquiring such a car must be handled with discretion and care. The process involves more than just money. It requires trust, negotiation skills, and timing. Any misstep could result in losing the opportunity altogether, repeating the same story as the Pagani that got away years ago. Therefore, preparation is crucial, both in terms of resources and in understanding the landscape of rare hypercar ownership. The combination of technical complexity, scarcity, and ownership history makes a potential Pagani rebuild not just a mechanical project, but a logistical and strategic challenge at the highest level. The potential reward, however, is equally enormous. Completing a Pagani rebuild, especially one linked to a famous driver like Lewis Hamilton, would elevate Mat Armstrong's career and credibility to unprecedented levels. The audience engagement would be immense, surpassing even the massive interest seen during his Bugatti Chiron rebuild. Every step of the project, from initial teardown to final test drive, would be highly watchable, creating hours of premium content capable of drawing both automotive enthusiasts and casual viewers. Additionally, the technical learning that comes from a Pagani rebuild is unmatched. The materials, engineering solutions, and bespoke construction techniques offer a level of insight and experience that few builders can ever gain. It would serve as a case study in advanced hypercar engineering, not only for Mat's team, but also for his audience, who increasingly value educational content alongside entertainment. Furthermore, a project of this magnitude is likely to attract collaborations, sponsorships, and partnerships that could provide additional resources or access to specialists, further amplifying the feasibility of the build. The combination of visibility, technical achievement, and content potential makes a Pagani rebuild one of the most impactful projects that a YouTuber builder could attempt in today's hypercar landscape. Timing is another critical factor for potential rebuild. Mat's current schedule includes multiple ongoing projects, each with its own deadlines and technical demands. He is managing the final touches on the Bugatti Chiron, refining a Ferrari 296, and working on performance upgrades for a Lamborghini Huracan. Each project individually demands a significant amount of attention, from sourcing rare components to testing performance and ensuring the integrity of each rebuild. Adding a Pagani to this mix would stretch both time and focus, introducing the risk of mistakes or delays. The carbon fiber work alone, which is a delicate process, cannot be rushed. Any oversight could lead to structural weaknesses, financial loss, or damage that is irreversible. On the other hand, momentum and audience engagement matter just as much. The attention gained from completing a high-profile project like the Chiron builds excitement and energy that can propel subsequent projects forward. Striking while that momentum exists may be strategically beneficial, creating an ideal window to start a Pagani rebuild with maximum audience engagement and support. The decision is therefore a careful balance between resources, timing, and opportunity, a challenge that requires strategic foresight as well as technical capability. Another compelling aspect of potential Pagani rebuild is the narrative it creates. Audiences are deeply invested not only in the cars themselves, but also in the personal story of Mat Armstrong as a builder and problem solver. The unfinished business angle from years ago adds emotional depth to the project. It is not just about fixing a car. It is about completing a journey that was interrupted. Fans who have followed his channel for years can relate to the idea of missing out and returning stronger. This narrative provides a built-in storyline that engages viewers emotionally while simultaneously showcasing technical skill. Moreover, the rebuild would highlight perseverance, creativity, and the ability to overcome extreme challenges. These themes resonate universally, broadening the appeal beyond hypercar enthusiasts to anyone who enjoys stories of dedication, ingenuity, and success against the odds. By leveraging both technical achievement and narrative depth, a Pagani rebuild becomes more than just a project. It transforms into a multi-dimensional story that captivates, educates, and entertains simultaneously. One of the most fascinating aspects of Pagani rebuild is the way it challenges problem-solving on every level. Unlike other cars, where mechanical or electronic issues are often standard and documented, a Pagani's complexity demands creative solutions at almost every step. The monocoque carbon fiber chassis alone is a technical marvel, designed to maximize strength while minimizing weight, but it is also extremely unforgiving. If a panel is misaligned or even slightly damaged during disassembly, it could compromise the integrity of the structure or create long-term safety risks. Beyond the chassis, the wiring harnesses, suspension systems, and braking components are all custom-fitted and meticulously engineered. Any repair or replacement work must respect the original precision to ensure the car performs as intended. Furthermore, every car is slightly unique, with individual customizations added by the manufacturer or the original owner. This means that documentation may not exist for certain aspects, requiring builders like Mat to analyze, reverse engineer, and sometimes fabricate parts from scratch. The process is akin to solving a three-dimensional puzzle while racing against time, money, and the pressure of audience expectation. For viewers, this creates compelling content because each stage involves not just action, but high-stakes engineering that can make or break the project. It turns a rebuild into an educational experience and a suspenseful journey all at once. Access to parts presents another monumental challenge. Unlike mainstream hypercars where spare parts or aftermarket solutions are available, Pagani parts are extremely scarce. Even basic items like body panels, interior switches, or mechanical fittings may be impossible to source directly. Builders often must rely on specialist fabricators, custom machining, or recreating components entirely from raw materials. This is where experience and industry connections become crucial. Mat Armstrong has spent years cultivating relationships with fabricators, engineers, and suppliers who can handle ultra-precision work. In addition, he has demonstrated resourcefulness in previous projects, from sourcing impossible Bugatti components to collaborating with engineers who have unique expertise. However, even with a skilled network, every step requires patience, careful planning, and verification. A mistake in fabrication could result in lost time, wasted resources, or damage to an already rare vehicle. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is minimal. This scarcity amplifies the narrative tension, because viewers understand that each component is not just a piece of car, it is an irreplaceable element of a unique machine. The combination of technical challenge, limited resources, and the rarity of the vehicle elevates the rebuild from a normal restoration to an extraordinary feat of skill and determination. The historical and emotional significance of a car linked to a figure like Lewis Hamilton further intensifies the project. Hamilton is one of the most successful Formula One drivers of all time, with multiple world championships and a global fan base. Any vehicle associated with him is more than a machine. It is a story, a piece of sporting history, and a collector's treasure. This adds layers of responsibility and expectation to the rebuild. Mat Armstrong would not just be restoring a car mechanically. He would be preserving the legacy of a famous athlete's vehicle. This elevates audience investment because the stakes are both emotional and material. Fans care about accuracy, authenticity, and respect for the original car. Every detail matters, from interior stitching to exterior paintwork. Any deviation could be criticized, diminishing the perceived success of the rebuild. At the same time, completing such a project could create unprecedented audience engagement. It would generate excitement across automotive and sports communities, attracting viewers who might not usually watch car restoration content. The combination of rarity, technical complexity, and historical significance transforms the rebuild into a cultural moment. It is no longer just about the car. It is about completing a story that has been in motion for years, turning a lost opportunity into a celebrated triumph. Timing and opportunity play crucial roles in the feasibility of this project. Mat Armstrong's current workload is already intense, with multiple simultaneous builds requiring his attention. Adding a Pagani project will require careful management of time, focus, and resources. Unlike more conventional rebuilds, rushing Pagani is not an option. Every carbon fiber panel, every custom-fitted part, and every mechanical system demands meticulous attention. Even minor mistakes can lead to delays, financial loss, or irreversible damage. However, there is also a strong argument for striking while momentum is high. The success of his Bugatti Chiron rebuild created a wave of audience excitement that is difficult to replicate. This level of engagement can provide both motivation and tangible support for a new project. Content momentum matters, because sustained interest can help fund the project and attract collaborators. In addition, rare opportunities do not last forever. A crashed Pagani may appear suddenly on the market, and waiting too long could mean losing the chance entirely. Therefore, the decision is a delicate balance, weighing current responsibilities against the need to act quickly when the perfect car becomes available. It is a high-stakes equation that requires both strategic foresight and readiness to execute flawlessly. Beyond logistics, the human element is essential. Audience engagement is a critical factor in why a Pagani rebuild will succeed as a YouTube project. Fans are no longer passive viewers. They are emotionally invested in Mat Armstrong's journey. They follow his work, celebrate successes, and analyze every teaser or hint he drops. Even minor references like memes or social media reposts have the potential to ignite widespread discussion. This level of engagement is invaluable because it provides not only financial support through views and sponsorships, but also emotional reinforcement that encourages risk-taking and innovation. A Pagani rebuild will be the culmination of years of audience investment. It is a narrative that combines technical mastery, personal ambition, and the thrill of exclusivity. The story resonates because it is relatable on multiple levels. The challenge of achieving something once thought impossible, the thrill of solving complex problems, and excitement of seeing history brought back to life. By leveraging both technical expertise and audience passion, the rebuild will become a landmark project, appealing to a diverse range of viewers beyond traditional automotive fans.